It's time to whip off that bra, pour a glass of your favorite wine, and join us for this week's Drinks at Six podcast. Hey ladies, time to take your bra off, pour a glass of wine, and join us for this week's Drinks at Six podcast. Perhaps Monica and I have already had a drink or two because the Yeti wasn't ready, and this is our third recording.
Yeah.
I think I have the mic figured out. Okay, so today we're going to talk about loneliness versus being alone. Do you have a problem being nice even when you're seething, raging mad? And do you still have it? Let us know. Tune in and listen to the podcast. Monica.
Jacqueline.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm ready for the third time.
All right.
Born ready.
Yeti, are you ready?
We're recording now.
This
is awesome.
Magic Mike, where were you the last two times we started? What was the word? Blabbering? What was from our last podcast?
Oh my goodness.
What was the tricky word? Remember?
Yeah, I do, but
you
can
don't.
I remember really?
No. Libble?
Something.
I don't know. Anyway, it meant what we're doing right now, blabbering on mindlessly. I just want to announce this is 3 weeks with the same cold.
Oh,
definitely not a man cold. It's been upgraded to a very serious woman cold. But I think I'm kicking it. I'm martyring
You
right
look
through
fabulous.
Thank you. I love you.
You don't even have any sinus inflammation. Nothing.
What? No.
I go puff face when I have a cold.
Do you? Well, I think 3 weeks ago I might have been a blowfish, but. So hey, I want to kick it off talking about. Let's talk about the heaviest topic.
Oh, right? I love it.
Because I got another, we've got a few that are fun.
Mm-hmm.
This one's heavy. Loneliness versus being alone, and this requires, I think, a little explanation about, when you are in a relationship or a situation where you feel it is better to stay there than being alone. And so you sort of put up with the negativity or the abuse or the abandonment or the neglect or whatever the situation is because you somehow feel that that is better for you than going out into the great big wide world and being alone. And many bad decisions are made that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is probably closely related to fear of the unknown, which is, what would my life look like if I was alone without this person? And quite frankly, most people, I bet you if you rallied your friends and family, they'd say your life would look better. But you stay because it is a hard proposition to face.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Jacqueline. Have you ever been in a relationship where you were more
definitely.
Lonely than... Yeah,
more
me too.
lonely than alone? Yeah, mm-hmm. I dated... He was a great guy. He just was not for me, and he was a silent non-communicator, and that's not my type. And, I really... I had a bad situation when I lived out west, and I moved home because of a broken heart, and I felt like I really needed to hang on to this new relationship, and... I liked him. He, like I said, he was a nice guy, but he just didn't talk, and he didn't, he's happy just to sit by your side and watch TV all day, and I
mm-hmm.
was not that person, so I felt bored and dismissed, and, I remember a friend of mine had a party out of town, and we were supposed to go, or he was invited to come with me, and I said to her, no, I think I'll just come on my own, because I'd rather have fun, and it just, as soon as I said that, I, thought, wow, did I just say that?
That's pretty profound.
That's pretty profound. Yeah, we didn't last much longer.
Wow.
What about you?
Yeah, I've definitely had a relationship like that. I was, young with this person for all the wrong reasons, but I'll never, ever forget that feeling of being so alone and not, feeling so lonely and not wanting to go home. Being happier by myself in my car or whatever it was I was doing at work, and then I know it was time to go home, and I dreaded it.
Yeah.
And I let that go on for 2 years,
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah. Not good. But you don't know, right? When you're young, you're trying to figure all this stuff out. But that was one thing I promised myself. I will never be with somebody where I don't want to be at home with them. Even if I'm upset with them, I want to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that we really need to distinguish between alone is a positive, factual state. Lonely is emotional, and it's more, I don't know, I think it's more negative. Mm-hmm. It is more negative. I mean, you can be alone in a room, or you can be lonely in a relationship.
Yeah. I
would prefer to be alone in a room. So
definitely.
Yeah, I fear that, a lot of women like myself, make bad decisions based on the fact that we're afraid to be alone. I've been really fortunate because I have parents who are very, like, they're in love and they're married, but they're independent, and they've taught us, my brother and I, that I feel like as much as I enjoy time with my husband, I really enjoy time by myself. And my mom said once, if you can't enjoy being by yourself, who else is going to enjoy being with you? So
that's so true.
Yeah. You have
Very
to, like,
true.
really make peace with yourself and hang out with yourself before you can offer that to someone else, right?
Definitely.
It's almost like doing quality assurance on the wares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Yeah.
Now, what about, do you ever feel like you've been with your husband for a while now, and I've been with mine for a while? Do you fear, we're all going to get older and somebody's going to go before the other guy?
Oh,
are you afraid of that?
He's going to go before me. I've got plans.
But does that
scare you or freak you out? Well, on different levels. Like, we have a daughter, and I know it will be heartbreaking for her. I certainly can't get my head around it, but I feel sad. I wish we could all live together forever, but I don't feel afraid of that. I feel sad by it, but I don't feel afraid by it. But I think because even in our relationship now, we do respect each other's independence and our own time alone. So we keep that kind of going. I think I will and he will be sufficiently prepared. We'll miss each other, but I don't think we'll fall apart.
Yeah, because you keep your network of friends going. You got your...
Yeah, and who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what friends will still be around by then, but
yeah,
I think it's more a state of mind that you feel confident that you can be okay on your own. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
what about you?
sure.
I mean, you and Wade have been together for a long time.
Yeah, we have. And I guess, like that part definitely. And for me, because we don't have children, and now that, like, my dad passed away a few years ago, and, I see what a blessing it is that my mom has my brother and I around her.
Yeah.
And so that would be the only thing where I'm like, wow, who am I going to have when I'm 76 years old? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a weird feeling because I don't have regrets about not having children, but I do have a fear of who's going to be around me.
Of course.
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you listen to my mummy moments from the past couple of podcasts, this kid could totally turf me. And I won't be surprised if she does. Speaking of mummy moments.
Oh boy. I love the mummy moments.
Do you remember last week? While we were podcasting, I brought my darling little Maddie into the girl cave.
Yes.
Here, which is our little tiny podcast piece of heaven tucked away in my unfinished basement. And it was tucked away, but now Maddie has discovered it. So I think what I've done is unleashed a holy terror, because now all she wants to do is come into the girl cave, and she doesn't want Daddy to come in. It's girls only. And yeah.
How's Daddy feel about that?
Probably not good,
considering
he built it for me.
Oh, jeez.
Well, he wasn't allowed in anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess that was, what would you call that, negative demonstration of boundaries? I don't know. Maybe there's actually no word for that. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. If you're listening and you're also a little tipsy at 6, why don't you send us a picture through Instagram? Just hashtag us at tipsy at 6 or drinks at 6, SIX. And do you want to do the bad pizza ad? Not SEX.
Yeah, the bad.
Anyway, so that's something I see a lot of my friends struggle with, and you do too, obviously, because we talked about this, and we struggle with it. So it's an interesting topic, but
hey, we all came in alone, and we're all going out alone. So
yeah, that somehow doesn't enlighten me. Okay, that's why we're not ending with this topic. All right, let's move it along, shall we? And the next topic is, how can you be nice when you are full of frigging rage?
yes, I love this topic.
I love this topic. And the reason that it is a topic is because you and I have talked several times about, cycles, and when you fight and argue, how you get into these secular things where you both, repeat the same actions and expect a different outcome. And I think Einstein said that's the definition of insanity. But but it's true. Like, we become like my husband and I, we become like children. Like, no, you do this. Well, you said this. Well, tit for tat, this for that. And we just end up in the same old.
Yes, exactly.
And you were mentioning, I think earlier, same thing for you, right?
Yeah.
And also not just you, but friends right?
Oh, for sure. And you know how we were talking about a couple of weeks ago on our podcast about the whole idea of living in the moment, and how that's not something that just happens. You have to practice it. Well, I think the same is for this. There are certain things in your life, if you keep doing it again and again and again, and it's not helping you, you have to actually stand back and change the way you're doing things. So an example of that is that you and your husband are not getting along for a week, and you can't stand him, and he can't stand you, and you don't want to be in that place. You have to get out of your ego and out of yourself, and you have to start looking at, what is he doing that I actually like? And even if it means writing it down as first step, and then second step is just telling him, like, you know what, I really, really appreciate that you put all the saying, I really appreciate that you gathered up all of Maddie's toys off the... Who's Maggie? You don't have a kid named Maggie, do you?
Do we have
Maddie.
Oh,
yeah.
Maggie's your mascot. For
Oh, yeah.
Jules.
Maggie. Yeah, Maggie's... Yeah.
I appreciate that you took inanimate objects,
toys
off
and
the
put
floor.
them away. No, but any little... But anything, that you notice where there's like an act of kindness, or an act of... where you see that your spouse is actually considering you and doing something kind for you or for the both of you. Why don't we ever point that stuff out to each other? Why is it always like, hey, I did that last week, why didn't you do this? And
I feel
what
like
is
when
that? You turn into brother sister crap.
Yeah, and I feel like when you say something like that, positive, you feel like you're giving in somehow, right?
Right.
Especially when you're angry. And again, I have an awesome therapist who, she's like a relationship whisperer. And she said to us, when you're in these cycles, the important thing to do, no matter how angry you are, probably don't do it in the heat of rage, but every morning when you get up, say something nice to each other. Don't make it bullshit, but make it true, but don't go over the top. Like if it's really just something like your left nostril is even, make it that. Actually, I don't think that works, because how can it be even if you don't mention the right one? Anyway, so maybe that would not be the compliment I'm talking about. But even if it's like, I like your matching shoes. Or it could be as like far-fetched as your hair looks nice today, or sometimes I love you. But the idea of doing it is kind of like, you can't be angry when you smile, right? When you say something nice, you break down that barrier a little,
right.
and then they shouldn't respond in kind, because then it feels like a game. But within that morning, you should both, at a different time, say something nice to each other.
That's a great way to start the day.
It is a great. It
but
is.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like if you're being nice, you're giving in?
Because it
when
just
you're
sort
still
of feels
angry.
like, I'm really angry at you, therefore you're wrong, and if I'm nice to you, I'm letting you off the hook. That's what it feels like.
You want to know? I'm going to tell you how you feel.
Please tell me, because sometimes I forget.
Is that the worst?
That's really great.
That's a terrible friendship.
You know what,
Let me tell you how you feel, Doug.
Tell me how I feel, and then tell me how to live my life. That would be awesome.
You feel like you're rewarding bad behavior.
I am. You're right.
What is he, your kid? No. Somebody
he's my
told me
puppy.
that
No,
once.
he's my husband.
It was a therapist that I went to. She was like a naturopath and everything else. And I remember saying things to her like, well, I can't say that because he ticked me off with this and this. And she said, so you think that by being kind, you're rewarding bad behavior?
Yeah.
And I said, that's exactly how I feel. And then she said, and so you're treating your spouse like he's your child.
And is that the kind of marriage you want? And I said, no. Right? So she kind of taught me to take the ego out of it. Rise above, create something new. Because all that stuff doesn't matter. It's not going to necessarily repeat itself if you're nice to them.
Well, that is a good point. I hate when they say good stuff like that. Well, actually, when we went to one once, we went to a session once when we were having a particularly rough time, and my therapist said what she did was this exercise, and we had to identify what is the ongoing issue between us. Is it tension? Is it stress about something? Like, are we frustrated with each other or impatient? Whatever, I can't remember what it was. So many options. So we picked an option. We were like, yeah, well, we're frustrated, short-fused with each other and feeling like we don't have time for each other. We just don't want to talk about it anymore. Mm-hmm. And so the exercise was that one of us would start by saying, I understand that we're frustrated with each other. My contribution to the problem is, and then you would say something like, when I get in the door from work, I'm really tired and I kind of like take my mood out on you. And then the other person has to respond by reiterating what you just said, so you both understand that you hurt each other. Like, he had to hear what I said, respond back, and reiterate it. So he might say, I understand when you get in the door, you're frustrated with me. And I'm like, no, what I said was, I'm frustrated with work, I take it out on you. So you do a check-in, right?
Right. Okay.
They repeat it to make sure that you understand exactly how they understand how you're feeling. And then he says, my contribution is I do this, and then you do a check to make sure you're on the same page. The more you do that exercise, it is brilliant because it removes all the anger out of the situation, and you actually feel this weight being lifted off your chest because you're being accountable for your participation in the problem. And as counterproductive as that sounds, it removes the anger and the emotion, and you start to really dig down into yourself and go, what the hell am I doing here? Like, okay, so it's like a game, right? Okay, my turn. What do I do? And you think and you keep digging, and then you find all these things that you're doing, and you realize, holy crap, I'm actually part of the problem. Mm-hmm. And it takes you out of the victim role. It makes you accountable. And then it makes you kind of feel bad for what you've done. And the other guy feels bad too, so, like, don't worry, you're not alone. And in the end, when we were done, we both felt really like a weight had been lifted because we understood each other and we understood ourselves. Wow. It's an incredible exercise, and it should be a check-in point that people do, like, quarterly or something. But we went out for dinner that night and had probably the best dinner that we'd had in years. We joked around, we laughed, it was light. Even though we had all this stuff going on with our kid, money, we didn't even talk about it. We had fun.
Great.
So it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But see, when you remove anger and emotion out of the situation, you can be so logical. Mm-hmm. But we're women and we're not wired that way, so it is problematic.
Yeah, and I think as human beings, too, we're not wired that way. Like,
yeah,
you know, everybody can... Men, women, like we all have attachments to things, right? And we all place value and
and men are a problem. Like, men are a big problem. So anyway, I'm not pointing fingers. So do you have something you want to bring up?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. I do. Do. Okay, I have a word again. Oh. And once again, I know the meaning of it, and I need to ask you if you know the meaning.
Okay.
Because as you know, I'm a big-time Oxford Dictionary reader.
Yeah,
Burnsides.
Oh, that's just... Seriously, where are you guys? Burnsides.
At least it's not titty nope.
Titty nope. I would like to have Scotch fillet from the Burnside conversation. Burnside. No, I don't know what it means. Obviously.
Okay. Could you please use it in a sentence without knowing what it means?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I used to have a reading problem where I was illiterate, and I would think that my father had Burnsides, not sideburns.
Oh, that's
See
good.
how I twisted that? Is that right?
I might be able to give you that.
What?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay, use
it's
it
a little
properly.
off.
Oh, that would be 2 that I got right. No. Okay.
Okay.
What is it really? Well, tell
As
me.
I go through perimenopause, my biggest fear is that my
Oh, gross. What? This is going
facial hair will be so bad that this is a terrible sentence.
Yeah, it really is. Structurally and content-wise. Okay, bring it home. If you can.
I don't think I can bring it home without saying what it is. Well, I'm just going to go for it. That my upper lip hair will connect to my sideburns.
But where's the Burnsides word? Oh my god.
That is the worst sentence ever.
It really isn't. It's wrong because the word is Burnsides.
Burnsides.
Hashtag tipsy at 6.
Burnsides. A mustache in combination with whiskers on the cheeks, but no beard on the chin.
Okay, mine was wrong. I was using a language problem to flip a word.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with
But it was something with the face. It was hair.
Burnsides. How did your brain not go to sideburns backwards? Or it was like some sort of social
Isn't that, who
malachi.
has that Burnsides?
I don't know. So your chin is attached to your what?
No, see, there's nothing on the chin. It's the mustache attached to the sideburns.
Like the 70s,
Like
like
the-
Wolfman.
Well, it's not even. Is that maybe a hipster
Is
thing?
it Texan?
I
No,
I don't
like
know.
did Colonel
What if the
Sam?
mustache
No.
was like curled here and
No,
then
that doesn't get
it braided
well,
into the
If you
burns?
braided it and then you were like tied it to your back hair, you could be lifted like a purse.
Oh.
That's really the dumbest thing ever.
It is.
You've had some doozies, but that one blows. You know what? I'm going to take a point just because that word sucked. Jack 1, Monica 0.
I'll
okay.
take it.
Okay, I'm going to
Okay. I mean, I'll
No,
be
you couldn't
defeated.
even
I'll
go.
take the. Yep. Okay.
All right, let's move on from Burnside. But it reminds me, like, it sounds like someone's last name. It was someone's last name. I went to school with a girl whose last name was Burnside.
Really?
But doesn't it sound like
Wasn't
Ironside?
there a Yeah.
Ironside.
Was
Remember
there
that show?
No. Was
You
there?
don't remember Ironside?
No.
Okay, guys, who remembers Ironside? You're like 1 year younger than me. That's ridiculous.
What? When was it on?
Didn't Meryl Steubing have a Burnside? Come on, Captain
Burnsides, not a
Steubing.
Burns.
He did- Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't specify plural. But Captain Steubing had Burnsides. Yes, he did. Google it.
No.
Yeah.
He didn't have a mustache.
Yes, he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe Julie.
Julie
lady
had
did.
Burnsides?
Maybe. Maybe after making out with Captain Steubing. She
Oh.
Okay, our final topic. Out of that was, do you guys still check you out?
Yeah.
Oh God, do you want some help with your deflated ego? You clearly need positive reinforcement.
Actually, it just happened recently, and it was so good, and I scared myself. But go, you tell me yours.
I don't have any.
What are you talking about?
That's it, sister.
Okay, as if
Okay,
we're gonna
two
to
stories.
walk the streets after this. I'm gonna
well,
show
then
you.
they will check me out. Like Haggard Joe Freshathon.
We're walking down the Loblaws. I'll tell you. Five guys.
One day I was walking to the ice cream store with Maddie and Greg, and we were going by a sort of derelict area on Queen, and it was like, I don't know, I can't remember, but I did not look like, maybe I looked like I was going to Loblaws with a top knot on my head and a greasy hair, I don't know. But Greg said, hey, look, that guy checked you out. Okay, like I was supposed to be thrilled. He was a homeless guy. And I was like, are you serious? Did you really just bring that to my attention? He said, well, you're always saying that guys don't check you out anymore. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, anyway, I don't even want to go further with this conversation, but the other time was I took Maddie out for dinner the other night, and I did have like two people look at me. just look at me. And then I got to the street, and all the parents were playing on the street, and then about 3 dads told me that my shirt was inside out, and I had 2 different areas of my shirt where the labels were showing. So, like, maybe I look like I was at the Queen Street Drug Clinic or something. I don't know. So anyway, I did get checked out twice.
Okay, I'm sure.
Well,
you've
2
been-
tags on a shirt. That's like 1 look, 2 look. So 3 times I got checked out. Homeless person, 1 tag, 2 tag.
Don't just the homeless checkout person. Do you want to know
What?
what happened?
Okay.
This is the best line ever.
Okay. I'm waiting.
This friend of mine walked by a homeless guy, and he said to her, "Has your husband told you you're beautiful today?" And she goes, "No, actually he hasn't." And he goes, "Tell him he's a piece of shit."
And then she
Isn't
handed
that
him
the
her
best?
husband's visa.
Isn't that the best pick?
That's a good pickup
Okay.
line. Did she go home? No, I guess she can't go home. Never mind. Anyway.
Okay, anyway. Was that over the edge? I
I
said
was
the
over
S
the
word.
top. You pushed me into that.
I pushed you in. Jacqueline, you gotta open your eyes. I'm sure you get checked out all the time.
No, my eyes are open. I just, like,
Oh,
I wear
God.
glasses.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me about your check.
Okay, so I had this, it was recent. I was up at my cottage and I was going to the liquor store and I had been on the road. I had the Farrah Fawcett hair going on. I felt good that day. And so I got out of my car and this gorgeous guy gets out of a pickup truck and he's obviously in construction or something. And he's probably in his 30s.
Probably toned.
He grunted. So I got out of the car and I heard behind me, and I was like, okay, that's a little strange. But he was so hot, but that was so inappropriate.
Do you think?
And then I was choosing my wine, and he walked in front of me, and he went, hey, did one of those. And then I
Ooh.
went, okay. And then went to pay for the wine, and then he was behind me, and he was kind of doing the nod, and I'm like, okay, this is out of control.
Where's
But
your
then,
hobble?
then yeah. So then I drive standard, which I think is so cool, which is
Yep.
one of my
It's
16.
very cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I pulled, he was behind me, he got into his truck, I got into my car, and I had a little bit of a drive to get out. So he watched me getting out, and I had Led Zeppelin on in the car. So just to add fuel to the fire, I cranked the Led Zeppelin and I shifted my... And then he was like, yeah! And then he followed me. And then I went, this has gone way too far. And I had to turn around, go back, did something stupid.
Okay,
so that he
really?
wouldn't-
Like, then he stalked you? And then it turned into, like, teen horror movie? You're like, I don't care. He checked me out, and I'm over 40. I don't care. They had, like, knives, like, ginseng knives that he got from K-Tel in his back of his truck.
Yeah.
And he was